Good day, class. It's Sir Capistrano again, and welcome back to another discussion here in Math 1 Statistics. So, medyo pagpasensyaan nyo lang yung boses ko ngayon at medyo makati yung lalamunan ko. So, medyo may mga konting ubo at kung ano man dito sa video na to. But then, in any case, this is Math 1 Statistics, and we will be looking into another topic here under our hypothesis testing. This is a test called testing the difference between two means. By two means, as you may have remembered last time, we already tackled one sample, say test and t-test. So those tests actually just look into the difference between your sample data and its corresponding population. And for this day or for this discussion, eh, it's more on looking into the comparison between two populations. Kumbaga, halimbawa, meron kang dalawang set ng population, let's say mga BSIT students and mga BS Fishery students, you have two populations there and you have sample data regarding those two populations. Gusto mo ngayong i-check kung may difference ba yun sa isa't isa, you will be using this test para makita mo yung kung meron mong significant difference o wala. By significant difference, halimbawa kasi, pwede kasi nating sabihin may difference ang 22 at ang 23. Pero paano natin ma-assure na significant ba yung difference na yun? By significant, may bearing ba yung difference na yun? So in this, for today, we will be looking into that. But some sort of background for testing the difference between two means is by testing the difference of between two means. This is just another statistical method for comparison of two populations which considers their mean. So the inferences we'll make will be based on the difference between the observed samples within the population. So we will not be looking into the population data itself, but it's more on the samples. Halimbawa, for a certain population, kumuha ka ng a certain number of samples or respondents. Dun sa certain number of samples and respondents natin na yun, dun sa dalawang population na yun, yun yung titingnan natin yung differences or yung inferences na gagawin natin. By inferences, as you may have remembered, that those inferences is what we call hypothesis. So, there are actually certain types of uh, testing of difference between two means. Bali, ang tinitingnan dito ay kung ano ba yung type, yung relations at saka yung type ng population mismo na titingnan natin. So there are actually two major categories for testing the difference between two means. Titingnan natin muna yung dependence ng mga population na yun sa isa't isa. So for example, we have here independent samples. We have large independent samples and small independent samples. And for independent samples, we have paired samples. So ano bang ibig sabihin natin dyan? So kapag sinabi natin independent samples, ang ibig lang sabihin nun, sa bawat data na makukuha mo, yung data na yun ay walang effect dun sa data na pwede mong makuha rin sa ibang tao or sa ibang samples mo. So for dependent samples, ay ito naman yung tinitingnan natin kung mayroon bang relationship yung dalawa sa isa't isa, kung may effect ba yung mga bagay-bagay sa isa't isa. So by paired samples, isa sa mga pwedeng tingnan natin dito ay ay time ng pag-aaral ng isang estudyante sa scores na nakukuha niya for a certain subject. Let's say for this one, statistics. Halimbawa, kung 5 hours nag-aaral yung isang estudyante, tawag dito, makakaapekto ba yun dun sa grade niya? So, yun yung pwede natin gawin. Medyo parang regression, pero dapat pala hindi yun yung ginamit ng example. Isa pang example na pwedeng gamitin natin ay kapag halimbawa yung before and after, titingnan natin sa isang bata. Halimbawa, ah kinuha mo yung score nung yung respondent ng midterm sa isang subject, tapos kinuha mo yung score niya ron sa finals. Yun din yung mga tinatawag nating dependent samples. Okay? So, pwede rin diyang tingnan ay halimbawa yung mga epekto ng seminars, halimbawa, or trainings, halimbawa, nagpa-training tayo ng self-defense. from score ng self-defense ng isang bata, tinuruan mo siya, ano yung magiging score niya sa susunod, yun yung mga tinatawag nating dependent samples. So yun yung pwede nating tingnan when we are dealing with this types of testing, difference between two means. But for this video, we will be looking into the independent sample first. So wherein we will be looking into the testing of difference between two means of large independent samples and small independent samples. And by large and small independent samples, we mean this. So just like our one sample say test and t-test, we will be looking into the magic 30. Okay. So by the magic 30, we'll be considering populations or samples that is large when we have sample size which is greater than 30. And for small independent samples, we will be looking into sample sizes that's not 20. That's typo. We have there less than. So in here, kung makikita nyo rin sa baba, large independent samples utilizes say-test and small independent samples use t-test. Just like our one sample test. Actually, parehas na parehas yung method na gagawin natin. Ang magbabago lang talaga ay yung ating mga formulas. Since for this, we are testing the difference between means of two samples, we will be having two sample means and we have two population means, we have two variances or what we call dito, standard deviation. So, same system yung susundin natin. Kapag alam natin yung sigma, we'll be using this left one. Kapag hindi natin alam kung ano yung sigma, gagamitin natin yung sample standard deviation. So, same goes. Ang magbabago lang talaga ay yung formula. And for small independent sample, since this is large, we will be using say test. And for those small, bakit dalawang beses siya lumabas? Anyway, for small independent samples, we will be using these formulas. So meron na lang tayong kaunting pagbabago sa system na ginagawa natin. So meron tayong mga assumptions na ginagawa. So kapag yung variances natin ay assumed to be equal, we will be using this first formula sa kaliwa. And kapag iniisip naman natin or i-assume natin na ang variances natin ay supposed to be equal, that should that should be equal, not unequal, we will be using this formula. So ano ba yung difference ng dalawang to? So, ang magiging difference kasi ng dalawang to ay yung kung maalala nyo sa ating t-test, meron tayong tinatawag na degrees of freedom. So, for degrees of freedom for unequal, we will be using n1 minus 1 or n2 minus 2. 1. So, ano ang difference? Ano ang kukunin natin dyan, sir? Bakit or yung nakalagay dyan? Kung alin yung mas mababa, na lumabas dito sa N1 at saka sa N2, N1 minus 1 and N2 minus 1, yun yung gagamitin nating degrees of freedom. But for those small independent samples that we assume that their variances are equal, we will be using this formula wherein we will have here N1 plus N2 minus 2. So that's the main difference between those two formulas. And usually, if we are looking into populations na wala naman talagang halos difference sa isa't isa. Kumbaga, tinetest mo lang yung nasa samples mo mismo. Gusto mo lang i-check dun sa mga nakuha mong samples kung may difference ba yung nasa samples mo. Laging ang ginagamit natin, laging ang ina-assume ay equal yung mga variances natin. So, to be exact, we will be using this one. So, saan natin madalas gagamitin itong unequal? Lagi yang i-state dun sa scenario kung unequal ba yung variances. So, for those unequal variances, yan yung mga ano na, yung mga data na talagang sobrang layo na sa isa't isa. Kasi maaaring nasa constraints siya ng ng number of samples or yung number of population mismo. Pero most of the time, we will be using this formula on the right. Okay? So, nabanggit ko kanina na halos parehas lang dun sa ginagawa natin kanina. So by that, actually, parehas lang din yung set nung steps na sinusunod natin when we are testing difference between two means. As you may see here, you just need to set up the hypothesis. Laging ganon. Ang kaibahan nga lang for this one, we will be using two means. So parang sasabihin natin dito na sa setup ng hypothesis natin, equal ba sila sa isa't isa? For our null hypothesis and hindi ba sila equal. So I just included some of other null hypothesis na pwede natin gamitin kasi nakadepende yun dun sa kung ano yung alternative hypothesis na gagawin natin. So for example, ang assumption mo ay one-tailed yung mga measurement mo. For example, you assume that your mu1 is less than mu2 or yung population mean 1 ay mas mababa sa population mean 2, dapat yung null hypothesis mo ay yung counterpart ng isang yon wherein you will have their greater than or equal. And if you are to assume that the alternative hypothesis is greater naman, yung mu1 dun sa mu2, you will use the less than and equal. Then you need to set the level of significance and determine the critical value. So I showed you last time kung saan natin pwedeng makuha yan. Uh, yung level of significance usually binibigay na lang yan sa atin. And for say test, we just need to look into the bottom part of your student t-test distribution. And for t-testing, you need to determine first the degrees of freedom. Wherein nakadepende yun dun sa iyong dun sa Senate natin kanina or yung pinakita ko kanina. Nakadepende yun dun sa iyong variances, yung assumption mo ng variances, kung anong DF yung gagamitin mo or kung anong degrees of freedom yung gagamitin mo. Then you need to compute for the sample means. Hindi ko naman nabaga to. That is not one sample test, that is for sample test. Then you need to calculate the test value for yung binigay na formula kanina. And we will still be using this statistical decisions for hypothesis testing. Same pa rin yung concept na gagamitin. And in that, after that, you just need to state the conclusion. Okay? So in here, let's look into how we can determine kung anong text ba yung gagamitin. Alright? So, ganun lang ulit Parang paulit-ulit lang din tong lalabas yata, sir. Opo, halos pare-pares lang yan. Kung say test at t-test, ang gagamitin natin at lagi natin tinitingnan ay yung mga means lang mismo. So, kapag yung known yung sigma mo, you will be using this one. Kapag hindi, tanongin mo ang sarili mo, greater than 30 ba yung ating sample size? Kung yes, gagamitin mo tong isang to. And kapag no, tatanungin mo ulit sa sarili mo, is the variances assumed to be equal? So pag yes, laging yung assumption na wala ka namang sinabi na hindi hindi na yung wala kang assumption na binigay yung variances mo ay unequal, then ito yung gagamitin mo. And kapag stated or kapag alam mo na yung variances ng iyong data ay unequal, you will be using this one. Okay? So those are the kumbaga somewhat a flow chart kung paano mo natin i-determine kung aling test yung gagamitin natin. And let's have this example. I have two examples here. So for the first example, the Human Resource Management Office of PRMSU wants to see whether there is a significant difference between the ages of male and female assistant professors in the university. They selected 35 samples for each group and at 0.05 decide if there is enough evidence to claim that there are no significant differences between the ages of the two groups. So, nakasulat na dyan yung ating mga given. Yung ating sample size yung sa ating sample mean nung sa female is 27.3. And dun sa male naman, yung ating sample mean is 28. We have a standard deviation of 2.4 for the ages of the female. Then we have a standard deviation of 3.1 for the ages of the male. Then we have the same sample size. So determine natin yung test na gagamitin natin. So, hindi natin alam yung population standard deviation. So, fine, okay na yan. Ah, Doon tayo sa isa. Yung sample size ba natin is greater than 30? Yes. So, you will be using say test. Okay. So for the say test, first step is we need to indicate our null hypothesis and our alternative hypothesis. Since dito wala namang sinabi na greater or equal, wala tayong direction ng distribution na titingnan, ibig sabihin dito ay two-tailed test, meaning to say, we'll be just using this mu1 is equal to mu2, or we are just saying that there is no significant difference between the mean of the ages of the male and the female. And for the alternative hypothesis, this is just mu1 is not equal to mu2 kasi wala nga tayong direction na pupuntahan or wala tayong direction na sinusunod. So for step 2, we need to determine the level of significance na gagamitin natin. And for this one, our alpha is equal to 0.05. Then we just need to determine our ano bang i-determine natin dito? Yung ating critical value, meaning to say we have to look for say critical ng 0.05, and kung i-check nyo yan, sige, pwede nyo i-check muna. And for this one, since ito ay two-tailed, we will be using positive or negative 1.96. So kung titingnan natin ulit yan sa ating sa ating distribution, so ganyan ulit yung mangyayari. This is negative 1.96 and this is positive 1.96. So this is still our non-rejection region. Ibig sabihin, dito natin hindi i-reject yung null hypothesis, at yung mga shaded part naman, yun yung ating mga rejected region. So for step 3, ano nga ulit ang step 3? We need to compute for the test value. So for the test value, step 3 nga ba yan? Check nga lang natin. Kasi wala na. Okay na tayo sample means. Okay, so diretso na tayo dun sa step 4. Kasi ito na yung step 3 natin. Nandiyan na yung ating sample means. Andiyan na rin standard deviation. So, step 4, test of ano na tayo. So, mangyayari, we will have here say is equal to x1 minus x bar 1 minus x bar 2 minus mu1 minus mu2 over the square root of our standard deviation 1 square over n plus n1 plus standard deviation square of the second over n2. Okay? So, yan yung gagawin natin. So, let's just substitute. Meaning to say we will have here, say 1 natin is 27.3 minus 28 minus, sir, paano sa mu? Since inassume natin na equal ito, kasi independence means that then normally distributed ito, we will just have here yung ating difference ng mu1 at mu2 is equal to 0. So that is over the square root of our S1, which is 2.4. You just need to square that all over uh, 35 plus yung ating 3.1, square natin yan all over 35. So, calculate. Yung medyo magiging mahirap. But in any case, tingnan natin. So, we will have here our calculator. So, same pa rin yung steps na gagawin natin. Kunin nyo muna yung nasa taas. So, that will be 27.3 minus 28. So, you will have here negative 0.7. Then, you just need to divide that nung sa nasa baba. So, ang ginagawa ko dito sa calcu, usually nilalagyan ko ng parenthesis para makuha ko ng buo yung square root natin. So, in here, we have here 2.4 square mo yan. Tapos, i-divide mo siya ng 35, tapos mag-add ka ng 3.1, square mo ulit yan, okay? Then divide mo siya ng 35, then ilagay mo na yung parenthesis, then saka mo siya square. Ito ay para dun sa mga usual na calculator ha. Pero kung ang ginagamit niyo yung cycle, pwede niyong isulat to ng mas normal kung paano siya nakatype dun sa taas. But in any case, the answer here will be 1.056. So we'll have here negative 1056. And kung babalik kayo dun sa ating graph kanina, if you determine that this is say is equal to 0, somewhere between dito, andyan yung ating negative 1.056. So meaning to say, andun siya sa rejection region. So we do not reject the HO here. So for the fifth, we have here the decision rule. Since isulat lang ulit natin yung ating say computed, ang say computed natin ay negative 1.056. Then sulat lang natin yung mas malapit. Gawin natin siyang absolute value. So ito yung magiging positive. And then sulat natin yung ating critical value. As you may notice here, our 1.056 is actually less than our T critical. Ibig sabihin, do not reject HO. So in here, for the step 6, do not reject HO. Ibig sabihin lang, at uh, at alpha is equal to 0.05, we have here mu 1 is equal to mu 2, or ang ibig lang sabihin yan, there are no significant difference between the ages of the groups. Anong groups yung tinutukoy natin dito? Yung male at female. So that is our conclusion there. So, yan, yung steps na ginawa natin dito, syempre, determine muna natin yung ating test statistics na gagamitin. So basically, we look for sigma, walang sigma. Tingnan natin kung yung n ba or yung sample size is greater than 30 and 35 siya parehas. So meaning to say, we have here our say test. So wherein yung say test na gagamitin natin dito ay yung sample standard deviation yung gagamitin natin. So that is how we solve for the testing, or how we conduct testing, the difference between two means of large independent samples. Okay? So, since ito ay large independent samples, syempre, yung next na problem natin ay small na. Okay? So, for this example, the problem here is the SSG, or Supreme Student Government of Candelaria Campus, would like to compare the travel expense of BS Fishery students and BSIT students. They collected the sample information below. At 0.05 level of significance, could they conclude that the mean travel expense of BS fishery student is greater than BSIT students? So, first, kailangan muna natin determine kung anong test yung gagamitin natin. And as you may see here, our sample size maparoon sa BSF at sa BSIT is less than 30. So, diretso na tayo agad sa t-testing nito. Pero, anong t-testing ang gagamitin natin dito? Since wala tayong assumption dito na sinasabi na yung variances nila ay hindi equal, lumalabas dito ang gagamitin natin ay yung isang formula. Wherein yung isang formula na tinutukoy ko ay yung ating t is equal to yung ating x bar 1 minus x bar 2 minus yung mu 1 minus mu 2 all over yung dalawang square root sa baba, wherein we have square root of yung ating n1 minus 1. Multiply lang natin yung sa square ng standard deviation plus yung ating n2 minus 1 Multiplied natin yung sa standard deviation na ikalawa or sa BSF, BSIT. Then let's divide that with N1 plus N2 minus 2 times the square root of 1 over N1 plus 1 over N2. Okay? So that is how that will be the test hypothesis na gagamitin natin. Test of hypothesis na gagamitin natin. Okay. So, proceed tayo dun sa mismo computation or dun sa mismo pag-solve or pag-test nito. So, again, for the HO, lagi lang assumption naman dyan ay yung sa may equal. But since ang tinitingnan natin dito ay yung ating daw sa BSF, which is yung magiging, ito yung magiging ano natin, x1, x bar 1, dyan yung x bar 1 natin, ito yung x bar 2 natin. So, mangyayari dito sa ating alternative hypothesis, we will have here, sabi niya, mu1, yung BSF daw, is greater than mu2, yung sa BSIT, yung sa expenses. So, ibig lang sabihin nito para dun sa null hypothesis natin, ang mu1 natin will be less than or equal dun sa mu2. Okay. So, yun yung titingnan natin. So, yan yung ating mga null hypothesis natin. So, paano natin ito translate itong sa null hypothesis natin? Sabihin lang natin dyan that the travel expenses of BSF student is not greater than travel expenses of DSIT. And for our null, alternative hypothesis, we'll be just saying that we have here that the travel expenses of BSIT is greater than the travel expense of baliktad. The travel expenses of BS Fisheries is greater than the travel expenses of DSIT. So that is our step one. So for step two, we just need to determine the levels of significance. So the level of significance here is we have alpha is equal to 0.05. Then we need to determine the DF. So since ito ay assumed to be equal ang kanilang variances, our DFs here will be N1 plus N2 minus 2. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 plus 9. So this will be equal to 12 plus 9 minus 2. So kung i-check nyo dyan, yan ay 19. So pwede na natin makuha yung ating T-critical. Okay? T-distribution. Wala. Okay. So balik tayo sa Chrome. Hanapin lang ulit natin yung student, T-test table, at wala akong internet. So, check ka na lang dito sa nasa papel sa akin. Sorry kung hindi nyo ma-check. O nga pala, nag-brown out nga pala dito. Okay. 19, 0.05. So, that will be one-tailed. So, this is 1.729. Okay? So, that is our T-critical for this problem. So, ang next na lang natin ngayon ay i-compute yung ating mga bagay-bagay. Kailangan natin i-compute yung ating mga x bar 1, ating S1. Kailangan natin i-compute din ang ating x bar 2, tsaka yung ating S2. So, para gawin yon, gagamit muna ako ng daya ngayong araw. Pakita ko sa inyo kung paano ko yung gagawin. So, by daya, kailangan nating i-input isa-isa yung mga values natin dito sa ating problem sa Excel. So, pwede kong gawin dyan, I have here, ito yung sa PSF, tapos ito yung sa BSIT, para kita ko kung paano ko sila type. So, we have here 105, 120, 140, 160, 100, 170, 160, 140, then 130, 160, 180, 190. So, kaya lang natin. So, this will be 12. Count 12. Then, ganun lang din yung gagawin ko sa BSIT. We have there 130, 50, 90, 80, 70, 125, 180, 80, 110. Alright. So, anong next kong gagawin? Pwede kong kunin yung process na ginagawa natin wherein kunin ko yung sum niyan, tapos yan, i-divide ko by 12. So, makukuha ko na yung 146. So, yun yung mean nung sa BSF. So, gawin natin yung ano, i-highlight natin yan. Then, para naman dun sa, ano, sa BSID, pwede ko rin gawin yan. Kunin ko lang yung sum niyan. Then, yan, i-divide ko lang by 9. So, makukuha ko na yung mean or yung average para dun sa ating para dun sa ating BSIT. So ngayon, ang kailangan ko na lang gawin ay compute yung standard deviation. At dahil medyo tinatamad ako ngayon, joke lang. So medyo shortcut tayo. Turo ko yung shortcut. So pag nakuha nyo, congrats. Kung hindi, gamitin nyo na lang yung dati natin ginagawa. Okay. Okay. So, kung makikita natin dito class, meron na tayong mga values na pwede natin gamitin. So, we have mean, which is equal to 146. So, that is our first sample mean. And it has a standard deviation of 28.69. Then, bakit ang laki nito? Ay, kasi napasama yun. Then we have standard deviation of 39.21 naman para dun sa second, sa BSIT, and 101 naman yung kanyang mean. So, test na natin siya for dun sa hypothesis natin. So, pwede natin gawin dyan. Sulat ko na lang ulit yung mga yun. Hopefully, 146. Then, a standard deviation. 0.69. Then, we have here x2, x bar 2, which is equal to 101.67. Then we have here S2, which is equal to 39.21. Then since dun sa ano natin, dun sa formula natin ay variance yung gagamitin natin, makikita nyo squared. So sulat ko na rin yung squared ng mga variance natin. So we have here S12 squared is equal to 823.30. Then our S22, bali square ko lang yung nasa taas class. That will be 1,537.5. So para mas madali na natin isulat yan. So dito sa formula natin, for step 4, kailangan ko na lang i-plug in lahat ng data na nakuha. So ito na yun. So we have here T is equal to X1, which is 146.25 minus 101.67 minus 0 na lang ulit to kasi hindi stated yung ating mga population means. Then, we will have here 12 minus 1. Multiply natin yun dito sa 8 to 3.30. Then, we have here plus 9 minus 1. Multiply naman natin yan dito sa 1537.5. Then, all of that will be over N1, which is 12, N2, which is 9, and minus 2. Kunin natin yung square root niyan. And we have here, multiply natin yan sa 1 over 12 plus 1 over 9. So, medyo magiging tedious yung calculation. Ano? So, for this one, I will be using yung Excel ulit para mas maging madali. Ano? Anyway, let's first square this 2. Okay? So, that is squared. Okay? Then, sulat ko lang din yung 12 at 9 para maging madali yung computation natin. Okay? So, in that, hindi kong gawin ay kunin ko muna yung difference nitong dalawang to. So, A1 minus yung ating 8, x bar 1 minus x bar 2. So, that will be 44. Then, kunin ko yung itong nasa baba, yung unang nasa square root. So, that will be SQRT, parenthesis. So, we'll have here 12. So, yata muna yung mga taas. So, we'll have here 12 minus 1, that will be 11. Multiply natin yung dito. Tapos, i-add natin yung 9 minus 1, that will be 8. Multiply natin yung dito. Okay? Tapos, kunin natin yung 12 plus 9 plus 2. 12 plus 9 minus 2. So, that will be 19. So, then, kunin natin yung 1 over 12 plus 1 over 9. Yan, meron tayong values naman ngayon. So, pwede na tayo gawin natin. Divide na natin itong dalawang to. Dito ko siya lalagay. So, we'll have here this one divided by this one. Tapos kunin natin yung square root niya. So, we have here 33. So, then square root dito. Okay. So, pwede ko actually dire-diretsuhin gawing i-type yun dito sa Excel. Pero, tingin ko mas maiintindihan nyo or mas masusundan nyo ako pag ginawa kong step by step. So, bali itong 44.58, yan yung difference ng dalawang means natin, yung 146 at 101. Then, itong 21,356.3, that will be yung 11, kasi yung 12 minus 1, multiply natin dun sa s squared, 1, plus inad natin dun sa 8 times b squared, 1. Tapos, kinuha natin uh, yung sa baba, yung ating 12 minus plus 9 minus 2. Then, dinivide natin yung dalawang yan, kaya nakuha natin yung 1,124.01. Then, kinuha natin yung square root niya. So, para naman dun sa isa pang square root, we have here 1 divided by 12 plus 1 divided by 9. Same lang yan sa 1 over 12 plus 1 over 9. Then, kinuha natin yung square root. So, ang final na gagawin natin dito ay kukunin na lang natin mismo yung value ng t. Wherein yung t natin, that will be ito. Okay? Yung first na na-compute natin, yung difference, divide mo siya dito sa nakuha natin square root na isa. Okay? Mas okay kung makikita natin yung parenthesis. Ito. Multiply dun sa isa pang square root, which is ito. So, we have here 3.15. 3.015. 3.015. Okay? So, yan na yung ating T computed. So, ang T critical natin is 1.729. So, isulat lang natin 3 point, para ito sa decision rule, 3.015. Yan yung absolute value ng T computed natin. And we have here 1.729 para dun sa T critical. As you may notice, our T computed is actually greater than our T critical. So, ang ibig sabihin nito? We must reject our HO. Okay? Kasi yun yung lagi natin ginagawa. Pag mas mataas siya, yun na yung mangyayari. So, pakita natin graphically, ano. So, pag gagawin natin ang graph yan, if this is t is equal to 0, we have here t is equal to 1.729. Yung 3.035 ay way beyond dito sa kanan. At since way beyond siya rito sa kanan, ibig sabihin, ito yung nandito siya sa ating rejection region, ibig sabihin, we need to reject HO. So, for the conclusion, since, ano na akong significance level, 0.05. So, at 0. At alpha is equal to 0.05. Bakit 0.05? Kasi 0.05. Uh, since we reject HO, ang ibig lang sabihin yan, the daily expense, hindi lang pala ito daily expense, daily travel expense, of BS fishery students is greater than the daily expense of PSI students. Okay? So that is how we test that t-test. Kung mapapansin nyo ngayon, yun nga lang, medyo mas mahirap na yung t-testing natin kapag small number of samples yung gagamitin natin. So kung magko-conduct kayo ng research at marunong kayo mag-compute using mga tools na meron tayo like Excel, SPSS at kung ano-ano pa, para mas madali nyo makompute yung inyong mean at saka yung inyong standard deviation, mas okay na ang gamitin natin ay say test, meaning to say dapat mas okay kung greater than 30 yung samples natin. Pero kung wala tayong choice, we need to compare two independent samples. We must use this process yung ating t-testing. So, balikan ko lang yung mga examples natin. So, ito yung example natin kanina para sa say testing. This is large independent sample. Yun nga lang, hindi alam dito yung population standard deviation, but we are able to compute for the say value. And we have rejected our HO here kasi yung T computed natin is less than our say critical. And for this one, ganun lang din ginawa natin, but different lamang yung system na ginamit natin kasi meron tayo mas mababa sa 30 yung ating sample size. And in that, we concluded this. So, for this video, I think that will be all. Next time, paired samples. In those paired samples are those samples wherein we will have dependent samples. So, if you have any questions regarding this lecture, please don't hesitate to contact me on our selected venues for communication. So that will be all for now. Thank you and have a great day. Bye bye.